Hello friends, and welcome to another CTS Learning Lab on Clear-Com HelixNet and Agent IC. Clear-Com, just another fuzzy way for the front of house engineer to yell at the monitor engineer about sending the wrong mic on stage, right?
Yeah, now more than ever, as we are in bigger venues and we're more spread out, communication is really key, and crystal clear communication where people aren't talking over each other, everyone has a direct path where they need to talk. It's very important in the shows we're doing. Especially today where we're doing Zoom calls and broadcasts in multiple different states, using Agent IC to have everyone on the same comm channel talking to each other across different regions to create a show is vitally important.
And now Hunter Smith with Clear-Com Agent IC and Helix Net, live from the CTS Learning Lab.
Hello everyone. I want to share with you a new piece of technology we've been using here at CTS, and that is Helix Net Digital Comm. Helix Net has taken the place for us of analog comm to give a more flexible and intelligible solution for party line intercom. Helix Net is a completely digital comm system that uses audio over IP protocol to distribute two-way communication to all of its connected devices. Each system hosts 12 separate party lines with expandability to 24 party lines in a single rack unit. Like analog comm, the base station links to multiple endpoints such as belt packs, rack units, and wall-mounted units. The difference is that all these endpoints can be connected with a single Ethernet run, regardless of which channel or how many channels are being used. With Helix Net being a direct replacement for analog comm, we have found in our use of the product some upgrades and enhancements that increase the usability and flexibility of the system. First of all, the audio quality is crystal clear and clean. There is a recognizable difference in the increase of intelligibility and the lack of listening fatigue over a long day. And with the audio transmission being digital, there is also no ground hum that can be introduced into the system. This is a huge improvement in the quality of the audio, and it also goes a long way in limiting the listening fatigue of a long day on comm. From the deployment side, the channel density of up to 24 party lines brings more options in how you group users and clean up confusing conversation crosstalk. Your video department can separate camera calls and graphics, and your lighting designer can separate spots and lighting text, and you'll always have spare channels available for the inevitable curveball that is thrown your way. The Helix Net system is extremely flexible in on-the-fly changes because no infrastructure needs to change to allow different channels to populate devices. All devices connect to the same network and are simply programmed to use the channels they need to. This leads to faster deployment even when you don't know exactly who gets which channel. This system also allows for easy on-the-fly changes if a belt pack needs more or different channels assigned to it, or if devices need added to the network. Another factor we noticed in our use of the system was how easy it is to tie into existing comm systems and integrate them into one cohesive system. One could integrate and seamlessly use a Helix Net system with FreeSpeak, Analog Clear-Com, RTS, Riedel, and any other system that offers 2-wire or 4-wire connectivity. If we come over here, I want to give you an overview of the hardware components of the Helix Net system. First up, on the bottom, we have the main station. The main station is a 12-channel base station for the Helix Net network with an optional upgrade to 24 party line channels. It's a necessary piece of the network because it hosts and controls the entirety of the system. All programming is done through the web UI on this device, and it allows a person to use the main station as a comm unit with 4 available channels across the front, a program input and a stage announce output, as well as a dedicated stage announce button. You have a speaker on the front, you also have a mic on the front, or the option to plug in a headset. The interconnect of the main station is customizable with Clear-Com's I/O cards. The I/O cards allow flexibility in how the main station can interface with its own and other comm systems. Each card hosts 2 ports on the card, and they come in 4 different types. Come in 2-wire and 4-wire analog comm options to integrate into analog comm systems. And it also has EtherCon and fiber HelixNet ports to link and control all of your HelixNet devices on the network. The remote station is next. It is a 4-channel rack unit that acts as an expanded belt pack option. It meets the middle ground of a belt pack and a main station where 4 channels are needed, but it does not need to host a network. Our CTS package houses a remote station and a 3U floater that is a fantastic companion to a producer at front of house. This allows the producer to have 4 channels of comm and a stage announce available to them without having to worry about working around the brains of the entire comm system. Just like the main station, the remote station hosts a program in, stage announce out, and speaker on the front, mic on the front, and an option to plug in a headset. Next, we have the belt pack for the HelixNet system, and this is what most people will be using. The belt pack is a 2-channel belt pack that is PoE powered, so a single EtherCon cable can provide both power and signal to the device. It has dedicated buttons for both channels, including volume, talk, and call, as well as a dedicated program rocker on the top. The belt pack offers a micro USB port that can act as a blaze-on if the call button is pressed, or you can also have the device vibrate if the call button is pressed on any one of its assigned party line channels. Lastly, we have the LQ, and the LQ is actually a pretty cool box. So it is an interface box used to adapt analog comm to the Helix Net network. It comes in 2 different setups for 2-wire and 4-wire comm, as well as a 1U rack unit, which we have here, that has 4 channels versus the 2 in the drop-down unit. The LQ can accept power from an outside analog base station, or it can provide power to unpowered belt packs, BTR, or any other unpowered analog systems. So you can have an LQ power analog comm stations that can integrate into your HelixNet system. It can also be paired with a comm dryer for a comm dried solution for your monitor engineer, or as a stage announce that multiple devices and people on the network can access from any of their devices, just like it's another comm channel. Now, just as important as the hardware is the software of HelixNet. Introducing software to the comm world has added many different capabilities that streamline the setup for the operator while also individually customizing operation for the user. Here are some tools that the software has added to the system. HelixNet can push live updates to the system quickly. There's no refresh time or reboot required. The operator can manage the network, assign channels, edit user settings, and solve 90% of their problems from anywhere in the network just on this software. Software displays a flowchart of every single device on the network, where they are routed, how outside systems are integrated into the HelixNet network, where program audio is sent, who is talking, and even who is listening. With this flowchart, the operator can quickly and visually identify open mic channels and identify potential routing problems even before they occur. A single cable is no longer bound to a single channel, just like you had in analog comm. Instead, a single EtherCon and the software can provide the operator the ability to quickly assign any channel to any device in the network. One major benefit of HelixNet is customizable user roles. A role is assigned to every single device at the show and on the HelixNet network. And this allows the operator to specifically tailor the settings and features to each device and each user. Here are some of those useful settings that we found. First off, you can name and apply custom names to the devices that show up on the screen, so you don't have to label it with tape and Sharpie. You can have a nice clean display on the front labeling what it is. You can also adjust the headset microphone gain depending on how loud of a talker the person is, how close or far away the mic is to their mouth, or even what type of mic they're using. Another adjustment is side tone gain, so you can adjust how loud a person's own voice is in their headset and whether it's louder or quieter for their preferences, and it can track to the volume that they have that channel on their device. They can customize the talk button to be a latch, a push to talk, combination of both, or you can even turn it off for a listen-only feature. You can also stack keys to assign multiple channels to a single button. This is particularly useful when making an all call, so you can broadcast to every single channel on the network, or a show caller can push one button and talk to many different departments of their choosing with that one button. You can lock out the menu and all the devices to varying levels with advanced, basic, or even none at all. And you can enable or disable the call light, the vibrate on call, and the blaze on features on each device on a device-specific level. With this being an IP setup, it uses a star topology. That means the CTS HelixNet system uses EtherCon to connect all the devices, and the main station connects to a switch. All the devices after that connect to that switch and a series of interconnected switches throughout the system. The system is expandable depending on the needs of the show, because you can have open channels on a switch, simply attach a belt pack to that switch, plug it in, it's good to go. It's getting power over PoE, and it's now part of the network. It can also connect to locations miles away with the ability to use fiber, both on the switches and on the main station. And the EtherCon that sends data to all the belt packs and the drop-down LQs also provides PoE power, which prevents the user from being tethered to another power supply. The HelixNet belt packs connect to the network with two different options. EtherCon is the standard that we use here at CTS and what I just went over. But another option is Powerline. And Powerline is a digital protocol that uses a 3-pin XLR connection. Now, this option is useful for hitting house dry lines to connect to spotlights, house lights, or getting into a catwalk when you're in a venue that doesn't have up-to-date systems and they just have a patch panel. You can use those dry lines to bring all of those devices into the HelixNet network over the standard XLR 3-pin connector. You can also use Y cables or daisy chains with the XLRs to link multiple devices together. But with the linking, there is a power loss, so you can only link 3 to 4 devices at one time. I've touched on this before. HelixNet can interconnect with other analog comm systems and integrate them into one cohesive network. Now, this is especially useful when you're coming into another person's venue or you're bringing multiple departments together. But you can interconnect HelixNet with analog Clear-Com, RTS, FreeSpeak, BTR, Riedel, basically any system out there. HelixNet makes it easy with the same simple method with 2-wire and 4-wire connections. You can use 2 different types of interfaces. You have the main station with its optional I/O cards, and you have the LQs with its 2-wire and 4-wire connections. LQs are particularly useful because you can put them anywhere, wherever you can connect fiber or EtherCon to them, and they can integrate and become part of your network with that simple EtherCon connection. They can also be racked with analog gear with the full rack unit version, and you can have a base station and a floater with that racked LQ, and you have something that is always interconnected. They can provide power to the system, so you can power belt packs. It is a very useful solution to have in your tool belt. Now, alongside with the wired IP HelixNet is their mobile application, Agent IC. So Agent IC works alongside the HelixNet system and allows different team members that aren't a part of the network to connect remotely and effortlessly connect to the core intercom users on the network. People can use a cell phone, a tablet, or a smartwatch to connect, and they can be on Android or iOS. You can connect over Wi-Fi or 3G or 4G LTE, so you don't need a local connection to connect. The interface of Agent IC is totally unique and secure for every user that logs in with their specific username and password. So just like the belt pack, you can have different settings tailored to each user and each device on Agent IC. The app also automatically adjusts its screen size and resolution, whether you're on a small Apple Watch or a large 13-inch iPad Pro. The user can also adjust the audio levels for each channel that is assigned to them, so they can prioritize what they need and mix what is too loud or too quiet for them. The Agent IC application supports up to 24 channels, and on the largest screen size available, you can have all those available to you on one screen. If it's smaller than that, it simply adds a scroll function, and you can scroll through and have all 24 channels available to you. The user can use any combination of wired headset, Bluetooth headset, AirPods, or even the speaker and mic on the device to communicate and listen to the rest of the comm network. You can have a channel flash on the interface when the call button is pressed, just like any other device. And the app runs in the background, so you're free to answer emails, text messages, surf the web, or even browse Facebook without losing connection to the show. Most importantly, the Agent IC app is free to download on every device, so you don't have to worry about where you can use it, who you give it to, or who has to download it. In our use of Agent IC, we found a few specific use cases that have been particularly useful. In this day and age, we've been doing a lot of Zoom broadcasts where we have people calling in on Zoom or Skype from different parts of the country to have a show remotely, social distancing. But when people are so far away, it's hard to communicate with them like, hey, we're coming to you, hey, we have this problem. With Agent IC, everyone's on the same comm system, connected, talking together, and everyone knows what's happening. We've also used it as an IFB solution where someone in another state can have a headphone in their ear and their phone in their pocket, and we here in Nashville can communicate with them as if they were there right in front of us. We've used it on small-scale projects where bringing in a comm system isn't necessarily a possibility, but people can have their phones in their pockets, and when they're ready for the show or rehearsals, they can pop out their phones, everyone's on the same network, or you can have multiple channels on the same comm system. Everyone can operate as if they had belt packs with them. Also with a fly date, where every case matters when you're flying, instead of carrying a Pelican or a rack full of comm gear and cables and belt packs and headsets, you can simply have Agent IC set up at a remote site, hosting it, and you bring your phone with you on this fly date, and your front of house and monitor engineer automatically have comm between them. You can have a channel for your lighting guy, you can have a channel for your video guy. Everyone is already on comm even when you walk into the venue. On larger shows, we've found a usefulness in remote sites where the main show has its thing going on and then they call into another venue, maybe across the street or in a different part of the city, and they're participating in the show. Well, with Agent IC, people can be on comm together, communicating, timing things out, solving problems. Also with breakout rooms, so you have a large-scale event and you have a lunch breakout, and this room is too far away for your cable to run and your wireless comm doesn't reach, you can simply give that person Agent IC and they can bounce between both venues and be on comm the entire time. Now, with Agent IC, I want to show you guys a little demo. So I want to check in with David in our control room, run an audio for us. David, are you on comm?
I am.
Awesome. How's everything going over there for you?
Going good. Really smooth.
Awesome. You're talking to me on Agent IC?
I am, right on my phone.
That's fantastic. Well, I think that concludes what my talk is about. You want to show us out?
Sure. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this CTS Learning Lab on Clear-Com HelixNet, and we will see you the next time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Hunter, for all the information on Clear-Com, HelixNet, and Agent IC. Look for us on social media and join us next time when we'll be live from the CTS Learning Lab.